What's up, guys? Oh my goodness, that's a terrible intro. I still haven't gotten used to this setup. I am the type to record in front of a stationary camera, and although this is locomotive motion, even though I have no idea if that is the correct description for this, moving while talking like this in public is not the same. Speaking becomes far more difficult when you're in public. Not because of the heavy breathing ASMR part and social anxiety, that's an aspect definitely, but it's more like I feel different. Like the words that I want to use, the words in which I want to use in my speech, they somehow downgrade. Yes, it sounds like I'm using sophisticated wording and lingo, but it's not the same. So I was thinking of just voice overing videos, and I'm actually gonna voice over some clips here. You should see clips of the entire hill. It's actually not a mountain, it's a hill of my childhood home slash place, because it's not exactly my home perhaps. Like, I don't own all this. This is home isn't necessarily a physical structure or a definite structure with a form. It's a feeling basically, and this is childhood and everything that encompasses the word childhood. It's this place. As I've said in my last video, this is my other save and load, and I've come to realize that it's actually that one right there and not that one with the Mabs or Mabby sign. Anyways, there's a bunch of people there, so I'm not gonna go there. I'm gonna go there tomorrow. So enjoy the clips. I will be adding voiceover for today's video, or today's log or journal video. I apologize if you've been missing the specific topic type of videos. Like recently, my videos doesn't really have any sort of structure. It's all over the place. It's more of the, like I've mentioned in the description of my idol video, we're staying true to the old Homer tradition of just opening a camera and then just yap about what's ever going on in my life at that point. Thank you, Real Life Homer, for that wonderful intro that took way too long. So anyways, what would I like to talk about? Christmas and my own nature, yes. Though I did mention that my past few videos aren't really in the style of being scripted and having a specific topic for me to tackle, I did have an agenda, that being showing my save and load points, and how does that relate to my nature and Christmas. Well, if you guys haven't realized already, I am a very nostalgic and, let's just say, backward looking person. I stay in the past. As I've mentioned in one of my videos, 80% or more of my day, I either spend my time thinking about the past or the future. And if I were to split that 80%, it would be 60% back to the past and 20% looking forward to the future. The point is there. It's in my nature to look back. I've always known this. I look forward in order to go back. That has been a motto of mine back in 2022 to 2023. But it hasn't only been recently, in these recent months, where I've actually had to grapple with that nature of mine, especially with my recent breakup with my first girlfriend. A person who stays in the past and going through a breakup journey, it doesn't really go well. I mean, it just makes sense if you think about it. There's this thing called post-breakup disorder. I'm not really quite sure if it's disorder, but it's something similar to PTSD. Though I am not claiming that I have PTSD, throughout my entire life, I've been exhibiting symptoms of what could be PTSD, especially when it comes to moments where I try to load or save. Especially when I try to load. Basically, I have triggers, and I don't know where this started or when it started, but it's not a good blend, because I experience this even in cases where I have to say goodbye to a place, an object, an inanimate, abstract concept. If I get my heart broken parting ways with things that aren't even something I can interact with, it only makes sense that when I had to say a goodbye, and more painfully, an abrupt goodbye towards someone who mattered so much to me, even though with the short amount of time we spent together, that goodbye is perhaps one of the most painful things I had to go through in my life thus far. And I'm not blaming her, just to make it clear. Future homers, I know you know that. It's not anybody's fault. There's no one to blame. I hate this term, but it's just the way things are. It is what it is. But how does this relate to Christmas? Around this time last year, Christmas felt magical. I mean, how else would I describe it? The weeks leading up to that Christmas were the most exciting it has ever been my entire life. I describe those weeks as being far, far more eventful than months of pandemic combined. It was basically the peak of the seeds I planted the pandemic prior. It was basically the fruit of my labor. I was in a completely different place, surrounded by people that I really, really love, and that season was essentially the definition of unforgettable, even if you take my reflective nature aside. This year, on the other hand, you can really feel the contrast. It's quieter. My life is not as colorful. My star this Christmas isn't really there anymore. And I don't want to mope in this video, but I just want you guys to understand, future homers, how cold and sad, the sadness and the cold winter air is creeping in. And a lot of my friends have been urging me that I should just get on with it. I mean, she's having the best time of her life probably right now, but I'm nowhere near any position to assume what's going on in other people's lives. But that's just how my mind works. I stay even though everybody else has left. I look back even though there's no clear and apparent reason to do so. And I can already hear some of you guys saying that, Homer, just stop it. Just focus on the present. Just ground yourself to what is and be glad of what has and what has passed. Just build something new and start over. But as I have mentioned, December last year was the pinnacle of my hard work from pandemic. I would have ended things in pandemic, but I promised that Homer by the ledge, that I would make things better for him, for us. And that December, with my friends, with that stupid festival dance, with Biel, was the best of that better. That was it. I lived for that moment, for those moments, for that Christmas. And fast forward a year later, and I find myself in the same place the Christmas prior to the Christmas last year. Basically, Christmas last year. So, it's not attachment to a specific person or a specific set of events, but rather it's a representative of something far more important to me. My values, my principles, my hard work, the fucking reason why I'm still alive. It's that to me. And my, unfortunately now, ex-girlfriend is like a symbol of all that. It's a metaphor. It's the meaning I attach to her and what she represents to me. And her being very important to me, yes, it's a huge aspect of it, but it's not the entire picture. I invested my entire heart, my time, my entire being into all that. Not to the person and to the relationship, but to the build-up, to everything that found in 2023 and 2024. I worked my ass off for all that, and I get to enjoy and savor it for 6 months, and in a snap of a finger, it's all gone. Just like that. And that gets to me. That's my crisis. The fleetingness of how everything you've worked hard for so long can just be washed away and you being helpless about it. I can't reiterate it enough. It's not just a heartbreak. It's existential. It shakes the foundation of how I see myself and how I see the world and how I deal with this time and change thing that is apparently the only constant thing that happens in this reality. It's like a betrayal of myself. Whenever someone tells me to let go or just move on, it's not that I'm holding on to the person and the moments I shared with her. Yes, again, that's a huge part of it, but that's what the average person makes a mistake in. But to me, again, it's my values, it's my principles, it's my nature. I cling on to it because I love doing it, and it just happens to be that this is the peak expression or exhibition of that aspect or mental wiring of mine. It crushes me, like thinking about faded photographs, people dying, goodbyes. Even if bittersweet, the bitter outweighs the sweet for me every time. It doesn't even have to be a person. It doesn't matter how long it was that I spent my time there or with. Goodbyes is so difficult for me. I don't get why. And that has been the main conflict within me these recent months, which were only amplified and magnified by parting ways with my now unfortunately ex-girlfriend. Basically, this Christmas, I can feel the contrast with the save and load points. How happy I was last year, I can load that. But that will only last like, what, 10 to 20 seconds, and then I'm back again. I'm back. Where am I now? Like, that's the question that I go back to. Where am I again? Oh, right. Yes. I've savored those days for 6 months, 7 months, and now, tada, Homer, we're back to baseline, hedonic treadmill. Loads have always been painful, but the loads recently have been the heaviest it's ever been, and for obvious reasons. This is my childhood place. I've set hundreds, if not thousands of saves in this place, and I've loaded almost a majority of them already. And as I've mentioned last year, I have, for the first time in my life, was hesitant of saving because of reasons I already explained, and I don't really want to go into that right now. The reason why the Christmas aspect of it makes it far heavier is, aside from the coldness of the air, is in fact the natural nostalgia that holidays bring. And it just happens to be that the best nostalgia that I can relate myself to was last year's. And back then, whenever I loaded during Christmas season, I loaded my childhood days when we were celebrating Christmas. But now, it's different. And that's how it's supposed to be. We grow up and all that. But that doesn't mean it's alright. It doesn't make it any less painful. Doesn't mean something is widely accepted as part of reality. Doesn't mean we shouldn't try our best to question it, and if we can't do anything about it, at least grieve it. And each and every one of us grieves in different depths, durations, and ways. And this is how I do it. This is how Homers do it. And I'm learning to accept that. That this would be a recurring cycle that will take place in not only my life but everybody else's life. We will lose people. We will miss Christmases. And holidays will be different. And for some it will incrementally become colder and colder, and we can't really do anything about it because this is how we pay the price of human existence. When you get something, you're just bound to lose it. It's just, for many people, they don't really recognize that to the extent that I do. Or I'm just really late to the party, like I've mentioned. I know they are, in their own ways, in their own hidden ways. Maybe they're not as vocal as I am with this, but surely everybody has to deal with this grueling fact of fleetingness of life. Whether it be me, the most optimistic people I know, my inspirational idols, my close friends, my parents, her. Everybody is hurt. And I guess that's just something that I would like to talk about more in a future video. So I guess I'll end it here for my part. I will now give it back to Real Life Homer. Thank you guys for listening to this, my first podcast in a way. So I'd like to thank you guys for walking with me again today, even though there's not much to show or not much to talk about. This is my catharsis. This is how, this makes me feel better about my situation, even though some people have been urging me to simply let go and all that. It's not the Homer way. So thank you guys for sticking with me, I guess. There's someone behind me, so in case I die, this is the last time you'll see me. I'm just joking. I can hear his footsteps. He's actually moving pretty quick. Anyways, peace. Stay beautiful, beautiful people. I should really revamp that outro. And, I really appreciate it. I really do.